Hello guys. Today I'm going to explain a little bit about my financial situation and my work history, because I said, oh yeah, I've mentioned in the past I'm getting views and comments on videos on a video I made in the past, like I've never worked before, or I haven't worked in 35 years. Okay, so I got also a comment by from a man, I think it was a gentleman, and I thought it was a nice question. He asked it. I think he asked an honest question. He was sincere anyway. That's the vibe that I got, and I thought, okay, just instead of me repeating the story again and again, because people have asked me, how do you live? How can you afford this? Somebody saw the gardens, like, I have a huge garden. I don't have a huge garden, I have land. Oh, you're not poor. Look at the massive garden you have. So I'll just explain the situation with my work. So this is like not a part two, but a kind of like summary of the video I made about, was it a year and a half ago. I haven't worked in my life ever in my life. So um, I have worked, but only in short spurts. And as I've gotten older, depression and anxiety I'm, has gotten worse, because, the brain deteriorates, the brain ages. I'm talking okay now, but, those periods of being okay, happen less and less, or it seems that way anyway. Maybe when I'm talking to you guys, my brain has an opportunity to actually work, and I can express myself with people that I think are friends. Most are friends. I have to be, like they say, vulnerable or authentic. And I know some people are going to laugh and they're going to, hate. I don't think they really hate. It's called hate, but it's just like taking the piss, or yeah, some might actually hate. But I have to take that risk, this tiny risk, to explain to the rest of you. Also, um, I'm giving an answer to those trolls that say, I don't know, I work all my life and look at you taking money off me. You go on the dole. So let me just answer all those questions, even those trolls as well. And I'm sure when when you read those troll comments, it might actually spark some interest inside you, and also doubt. You might think, yeah, this guy maybe has been claiming off the dole all his life. Is it all a con, or is it right? Is it fair? You know, so they can plant seeds of doubt into your head. And I mean, you might have had those doubts anyway, or those questions. So I'm going to try and answer those fears, or those questions that you may have or you might not have. Okay, in the video I made before, I said I haven't worked for 35 years or whatever, or I've never worked. Now, um, I'm 57. When I was 17, so I'll answer the question about work or long-term unemployment and my finances, my now and in the future. Okay, I'll start from the beginning, and I'll move forward in time and backwards. So at the age of 17, I did have a job. My dad got me a job because he knew of a head waiter who worked at Claridge's Hotel in London. It's the five-star deluxe hotel, and I was a commie waiter. Commie waiter is like the young waiter that is in training. He helps the head waiter. I did that for about 3 months, and that was like it was like torture. I had 3 shifts in a day. I used to come back home for about half an hour, 40 minutes, and then quickly take the bus back to the West End and work again. Sometimes I had to do late nights, to clean up and everything. That was absolute torture, and I only survived. I only did that job because I was 17. At the peak of my um, ability to take shit, ability to take crap from people. The bosses used to like bully you, not bully you, but tell you what to do, and sometimes within the period only had, I think, 1.5 hours. I think 1.5 hours. At, at I think three. What am I talking about? Three. Anyway, I had the time at lunchtime where I had to go back home, and it took an hour to get home and an hour to get back. That's 2 hours. I think, yeah, it was a 3 hour period where you were free, and sometimes I used to have to not make, but serve the boss. And so I was thinking, God, I have to quickly go home. It used to run for about half an hour, and then he would let me go. And the boss knew that I had to quickly go home and then come back, but he was like testing me to see, obviously, if you want to do that as a career, you have to do things, you know, above and beyond, what you're supposed to do, just to show them that you really want to do this as a career. But I didn't want to do it as a career, so I didn't like it, and I left after 3 months. I was exhausted, mentally, physically, totally exhausted. Even if I count that as a job, okay, I did it for 3 months. That's a full-time job. That was when I was 17. I'm 57 now, so 35 years is actually wrong. It's 40 years I haven't worked. Even that job, I wouldn't count that because I didn't only did it for 3 months. Okay, I have worked for 3 months, but I don't count that. I mean, working like at least a year or 2 years, a year at least, 6 months at least, in a job. But I haven't done that. That's the most I've done, 3 months. Okay, so let me go back to when I was 16. When I was 16, I was going to school. It was in the sixth form. Was it fifth form, sixth form? And during the week, I was going to school Monday to Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday, I was working as a pantry boy, which means at the hotel. I think it was called the Westbury Hotel in London, in the West End, and you just pick up the trays from the rooms that the room service waiters used to deliver, and so the customers they would leave the trays outside, or sometimes you'd have to go inside. You'd have to knock and then go inside and pick up all the trays with the cutlery, put them in various sets like the plates, the cups and everything, and then put them into a tiny lift, and it would go down, and the people downstairs would wash. And so, we'd have to clean that room. Just a very easy kind of job, a simple kind of job. But I had to stop that job after, say, about 6 months, because there was an incident at school where I was bullied by a guy who had a gang. What happened was there was a massive traumatic event. Basically, he slapped me around, and then I told my dad. My dad came to pick me up one day at school. There was a massive fight. There was blood everywhere. A car was smashed. Police were involved, and you know, I didn't fight at all. I just froze. I was just a kid. I froze there and looked at everything that was happening, and afterwards, I was so worried about this guy. He said he had black friends with guns, firearms. I was so, maybe he was bluffing. He was telling people all these stories. And I was scared. I told my dad I'm scared. So he saw that, and he took me to Sicily for 6 months. He said, no one's going to come here. When I came back to the UK, I was claustrophobic. I wanted to stay indoors. I didn't want to go outside. I tried to go for interviews, but every time I went for an interview, I went every time I saw someone, I went red, and I felt everyone's looking at me, and I felt claustrophobic. That's when my social phobia, it used to be called social phobia back then. That's when it all started. I didn't know it was social phobia. We didn't have an internet back then, so I couldn't do any research. So, but I did go to some bookstores sometimes. This is years later, and I found out, the psychology section, and I did come across the term like uh, fear of blushing, which is urethrophobia. And I thought, oh, okay, I've got that. And so social phobia later came along, this term, and that's called social anxiety. Well, anyway, okay, you guys want to know about work. In my 30s, I did, for mental health, I wanted to do some kind of work, some voluntary work. So I went to work in in an Oxfam shop. Where was it? Oh, I can't remember the area exactly. In London. But I realized that the people there were more nutty than I am, or than I was. I mean, you can see like why they're not working, and I'm not judging. I'm just saying they actually were more nuttier. I remember not the boss, the manager. He always had sweaty eyes. He had some problem with anxiety, and you know, when people bring the stuff in, you have to separate them, the clothes, the toys, and all that. And one of the ladies there, she was into nudity, like the nudist column, you know, nudist colony. She used to go to places and just be naked. So I just used to laugh. I laughed at it. I said, "Oh yeah, that's really funny." You know, it'll be difficult for me to go out with all my stuff dangling. And the manager was so upset. He just freaked out for no reason. And he sternly he said something to me like, um, "Don't be so." I don't know what he said. I can't even remember. But he said something really bad. He got like butt hurt just because I said, you know, my stuff dangling, and I was laughing at the thought of people walking around like in a supermarket somewhere with their stuff dangling around. It was just funny, you know. And the lady was serious, and he was serious as well. I thought, bloody hell, these people are nuts. And you can see there's something wrong. Like there's a screw loose in some of them. I know there's a screw loose in me, so that's how I can see see it in other people. But I thought they were worse than me, so I thought, no, what's the point? It's not helping my mental health here. So when I was about 12, I worked in a Pakistani shop or Indian shop, putting the stuff in the shelves. And my dad really didn't want me to do that job. But I said, "Oh, I want to get some pocket money, Dad." So my dad used to drop me off and then pick me up afterwards. So after school, a few times a week. So there's that one. So then I worked as a security guard when I was about 40. I did training, the security guard training. I went to the class. It was really hard for me, but there was only a few men there, so actually it worked out okay. I had to really work up to it as a goal to be in a room full of people. But I thought, it was going to be full of people. But the teacher was nice. The men there were nice. It was easier than I thought. But I did get nervous a few times, like when the teacher used to like ask me questions and I had to talk, and I felt that I was the center of attention, on the spot. So I did panic a little bit, but it wasn't so bad. So then I got the certificate, and then I went for a job. I worked in Safeways in Ealing. Bloody horrible area, full of druggies, drunks, and there was a lot of trouble there. I worked for just a few weeks as a security guard at night, and I used to allow the trucks to come in the back. I caught one guy, and then I think he was about to pull out a knife, but he put his hand in his pocket, and I said, "Okay, leave." I told the police. I kept having to bloody do these reports that the police. It was so. I thought, is it really worth it? Like £5 an hour at the time, like risking my life. So that was a night shift. I did that for about 2 weeks, and then I did the day shift when I was the store detective. That was absolute hell. Basically, you're dressed in normal clothes, not as a security guard. You go with your trolley and you walk around looking for trouble. And I used to find it because when you're a security guard, you're a deterrent. They look at you, and but when you're not a when you're just a normal person, you see everything. You are like you're like a customer. And I remember when I did stop that, it was the day the bombing in America, 9/11 in 2001. That's the day that I stopped that job. So it was only a week or 2 weeks. So there was that job there. So if you fast forward to the present, and then we'll fast forward to the future. So you've heard the past, roughly what I've done. So I haven't really worked all my life. And if you want to go back to the past, even before that time, why haven't you worked in your life? Why do you have mental health problems? Okay, maybe it's genetics. My parents have these genes that, I'm more susceptible. I have proclivity or whatever. I'm more susceptible to depression and anxiety. So maybe this was my fate from the beginning. I don't know. That could be part of the situation, or the reason why I had depression. But life circumstances, things that happen in life, it could have played a part. But my mother couldn't have children, okay, and so I came along. I was born at 9 days of age. I was adopted by my mum and dad, and they basically they treated me like their treasure, because it's like a gift from God, because my mum couldn't have kids, and they thought they would never have a child, and then to have a son, because in Sicily or in southern Italian culture, to have a son is really important. In China as well, in many traditional cultures. So is it the right word? Coddled me. My parents protected me. They loved me, and it might be a negative, but they were well meaning. They loved their son. They wanted to protect their son. I couldn't even go to school parties, discos, those kind of things when I was a kid. When I was 16, 17, 18, because my parents said, "Oh, there's bad people there," or they just said, "No, don't. We don't want you to go." But they meant well. They wanted to just protect me from bad stuff. Maybe drugs, whatever, bad people. They wanted to protect their son. And I can understand that, because I feel the same with my kids. So maybe that's why I feel the same with my kids, because I've been brought up that way, and I understand why. Okay, so maybe because my parents protected me and kept me in this cocoon, then I didn't develop, and it was really easy for me to be, only natural almost, to be shy. I didn't have any brothers or sisters to play with, so I had to use my creativity. When I played, even didn't have any toys. I used to play with my hands, as I always say. These two were the heads, two men fighting. This is the right. This is like the right hook, left hook. This is a headbutt, And these two guys couldn't fight, and I would do the the sound effects like. I used to do that as a kid. I know it sounds funny, but it sounds cool even now. And you can see I'm still a kid. You know, the Peter Pan syndrome. Some commenters wrote down. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If it can help to keep me young, that's great. I'd rather be Peter Pan than be this big alpha He-Man. Sorry, alpha male. Yeah, so there was a person saying, "Bro, you have to be the alpha male. Women don't like beta males, and they don't like men whimpering around and whining." And yeah, that's all good, but also I don't want to follow women like a slave. The alpha male is a slave to the whims of and the wants of a woman, in my opinion. I mean, I have to build up my muscle. I have to dress nice. I have to speak a certain way. I have to know all the pickup lines. I have to be cool. That just sounds so stressful. Sounds so stressful. And you're a slave. You are a slave to a woman. I don't want to be a slave to any woman. I mean, I want to be a friend to a nice woman, you know, and if God allows me, maybe have a partner, have I don't know, a girlfriend or something. So the question is, how can you afford this? How can you afford that? How can you afford this wonderful car? This car is worth about 200 quid if I try to sell it. I don't know how much it's worth, but it's knackered. This car, probably the bloody insurance and MOT that I have to pay for it is more than the car. So it's worth more to me just keeping the car than selling it because I wouldn't make a lot of money selling it. It's a Volvo V70 estate. It's about 20, 25 years. So the inside might look nice, and it's okay. I mean, it's okay for me. I like it. I mean, I'm grateful for having this car. I'm just saying, some people think, yo, you've got a nice car, you live in a nice area. Yeah, I do live in a nice area. Soon to be living in a hut somewhere. So, current situation. Sorry, rambling now. Current situation. My financial situation. Yes, I do have a car. This car, I'm not sure if my wife is going to take it, so I might not even have this car because she might need it for the kids. But I need it if I have to take the dogs out. So what am I going to do? We're going to have to sort something out. So I'll have to sacrifice and just give it to her so that she can take the kids everywhere. Yeah, if I live somewhere remote with the dogs, then if I've got any money left over when selling the house, I'll just get a caravan or something in a trailer if I can get a second-hand one. Well, anyway, my current situation is, so the person asked, like, for example, today, now it's it's time to go and do the shopping. But what I did is every week my wife gives me £100. Like we get money she gets money for. I didn't. You see, the reason why I'm vague is for many years I left my wife with all the financial stuff. I didn't know how much money was in the bank account. All I did was work. I worked with a shredder, an industrial shredder, shredding things for a kids channel. So I would do the videos, I would post them, and she would deal with, um, the how do you call it? All the paperwork. If we made any money, like I wouldn't know. I just get paid a certain amount. So as long as every week I've got money to go to the supermarket for food, and that's it. So I did work on the channel. And some people say, "Oh, you're a bum. You're a lazy f." How do you know? You know what I mean? And some people say, like, no, some person said as a joke, and I've often thought this as well. Like, you've never worked all your life, so so your life must be so stress free that you can like live to maybe 120 or something. And I've often thought that, growing up, like in my 20s and 30s, I thought, oh, okay, if I don't work and do a business, as my mum always said, and my dad, then I can like save myself. Say, like extend my shelf life, for a long time. But it doesn't work that way, because when you're say that, okay, you stay at home all day, you don't work, the brain is continuously, if you've got depression, anxiety, well, think about it. If you're so sensitive, you've got the shame or the guilt of not working all those years. Before any troll comes along and says you're a bum, you say it to yourself continuously for years, because you know what other people are thinking about you. One reason why I hardly ever wanted to go and see relatives, even now, is because they ask the magic question is, what are you doing? What work do you do? Do you have a girlfriend? First it was, do you have a girlfriend? What work do you do? And so I couldn't answer those, and even now I can't answer, what work do you do? Because the answer isn't going to be a good one. So yeah, that's one reason. I was adopted, and I found my adopted mother in London. I've met her, but I would like to see my adoptive dad. My genetic dad. But the problem is, when I go and see him, what do I say if he says, "What are you working?" You know, and I kind of, if I say I'm not working, I haven't worked all these years, it looks, in a way, I feel that it looks bad on my parents, and I don't want anyone to think bad of my parents. So I want to go there successful. I've got money, I'm healthy, and I didn't need you all my life. I was all right. To make him feel good about himself, like I'm not in trouble. My mother, to him feel good about himself, and to also honor my parents. But I'm scared that that time won't come, and then he'll pass away at some point, and I would have never met him. So I want to be success. Means different things to different people, but the basic success is you have money, you have a roof over your head, you have a nice car. That's what people see success as. Are you happy? You have a wife. You have nice kids. That's what success is. Are you healthy? Yeah. So anyway, situation now is my wife gets tax credit, and I think it's £200 for the whole family, which is really good. You know, I think it's about. She says it's £200. I don't know. I don't really know, but she gives me £100, and that £100, I split it between myself, and my dogs, and it doesn't really go far, but I just give them the basics, some chicken. Initially, I bought them a kibble, the expensive kibble, the cheap kibble, and they suffered. They were kind of lame. They had problems with they used to hop on. A few of them had problems with their legs, and I thought, no, there's something wrong here. And initially when they were puppies, they ate it, but then they started suffering, and I thought, no, I can't. So I checked online, and they said, a few people said, give them raw meat, don't give them kibble, because kibble is produced by companies that produce the fast food for humans, like Nestle and all those companies. So I switched over to raw meat and cooked meat, and immediately within about a week they were all okay, they were all fine. So I know these dogs react to meat, they want real meat. And at times when I didn't have, I switched over again to kibble, just to because it's cheaper as well. And they again, I don't know, they just changed. Their coat was like drier. I don't know, they just don't like kibble. So then I devised the plan, the cheapest plan. Get the cheapest meat, which is the chicken drumsticks. That's the cheapest meat I can find. If you guys know of any other meat that's cheap, is the cheapest I can find at the supermarket. The cheapest spaghetti, because I want to bulk them up a little bit, because they're quite low in weight. They should be heavier. So their growth spurt will finish maybe in a few months' time. Up to 2 years, they grow up to 2 years. It's almost finished. So I wanted to give them protein, carbohydrate, and to ensure that, you know, people might say, oh, it's over the top. I get a cheap, very cheap olive oil, which it might be a waste, and some sardines if they're cheap. So they have healthy oils and omega-3, you know, an apple, carrots, things like that. So it's almost a hypoallergenic diet apart from the spaghetti. But the spaghetti I'll stop when they're 2 years of age, when their growth spurt stops. It doesn't seem to be making any difference because even though I'm giving them spaghetti and the chicken, it's not enough. Maybe I have to give them more to bulk them up. Because they look like corgis. They're tiny German shepherds. Apart from Jerry, he's quite tall. And maybe they are genetically small short because Betty's short. Their mum's short. So anyway, those are my thoughts. So I've got about 50 pounds left for me. Now, when I do, I've got so many problems with histamine intolerance, SIFO, which is small intestinal fungal overgrowth, gluten and dairy intolerance. So if I want to buy a luxury, just a little bit of bread, I have to buy the bloody £3 bread. It's a loaf. It's cost £3. That gluten-free bread. If I buy normal bread, I sneeze my brains out. I've got inflammation. I've got pains. So I have to buy gluten-free bread or try some weird diet where I don't bloody eat any bread, like the carnivore diet. I can't have any sugar, so I tried it's called stevia. It's a sweet, like, it's a sweet substance that's made from plants. But one pack of that costs £5. So if I buy one pack of that for £5, and then I buy some olive oil, a small bottle of olive oil is about £5. The good olive oil to help bring my inflammation down. Those two items I've already eaten into 20% of my allowance for the week. So I have to be really careful, buy only a few vegetables, and I forage the other vegetables out here. There's dandelion, nettle. You can also have thistle, but as a tea. Otherwise, and cleavers. It's really hard on the mouth, but you can have it as a tea. So that's what I do. At the moment, I eat hollyhock, which are flowers, and they're really slimy, so they're really good for acid reflux. So things that I can find outside, I'll eat. Because I don't have enough money to buy vegetables. So yeah, so that's my situation that's how I live. And it sounds okay. The thing is, I don't have any extra for emergencies. So for example, I had an abscess, and my wife says we don't have any money to treat your abscess. So the choice I had is to fast for a week and then go and see the doctor. But if I only have £50, I would have to fast for that week and use that £50 just for the consultation, just to see them. It's £50, and then if they have to do anything else, it might be another £50 or £100. And so that means, say it's another £100. That means I would have to fast for another 2 weeks, and that would be okay. But they want the money immediately. So I was given antibiotics, and I was saving up like £10 a week, and I was thinking they're still going to take 5 weeks, so I have to do something drastic like fast myself and fast the dogs. But the dogs can't fast. I can't fast because I'm taking medication. That would probably crush my liver if I took medication, the Seroxat and omeprazole, and if I fasted. So it doesn't give me there's no leeway. Like for the dogs, for example, that's all they have is 50 a week just for food. I should normally set aside money for vet bills, or like a few of them don't have any collars. They're all knackered and broken. They don't have leashes. They don't have like the flea or pet, sorry, the flea or sorry, tick treatment or anything like that. They don't have any toys. So that's the bare minimum. And I'm grateful for that. I'm not complaining at all. So like some people say, why do you have six dogs? If you can't afford the six dogs, it's immoral. I didn't want six dogs. I didn't go out and buy six dogs. That's silly. And this is a new situation. It's not as if I I purchased six dogs and I knew that I didn't have the money to look after them. No, it wasn't like that. When I came to live in this place, and this is my dream. Oh, with my wife and my kids, everything was okay. My father was living in the annex. Everything was great. But then, my father became ill. He had already dementia, sorry, but he got worse. He couldn't walk. He needed more care. We tried, getting him to live with us, but it just didn't work. And we paid for carers to come and help us. And then, so we had to bring him to the nursing home or care home. I realized that I wasn't making the money that I thought I could make with the business, with the channel, the children's channel. So some people think I'm a bum and I haven't tried to work. I haven't tried to do things. But they have to understand that when someone's got depression, you can try all you like. At the end of the day, you make mistakes and you're a failure. But I try. I tried for 5 years with a channel. I would like to see some of those trolls make 500 plus videos on a channel, knowing that they're not making any money, but just with the hope that they can make some money, so to recoup some of the money, or to help with their family and their father. And the thing is, people say, well, if you knew if it wasn't going well, why did you continue? Because I've got social anxiety. I find it difficult to go out. Why didn't you just go and get a job? It's so stupid. How many times do I have to explain myself? Well, anyway, it just makes me laugh. Some of the comments that I get, why don't you just get a job? All right, okay. Okay. At this point, it's just better to just go out and get a job. I'm laughing because ignorance is bliss. I'm happy for those people that they don't understand, because to understand means that it doesn't necessarily mean, but to really understand, you have to be in the shoes of that person who's got depression and anxiety or mental health problems. You know, in order to run a business, this captain here has to be, you know, you know, on the steering wheel. If this captain here is something wrong or he's gone AWOL, nothing's gonna work. So for me, having that channel for 5 years, it's like a heroic feat, and was trying again and again and again. I was probably drugging myself with teas, cakes, smoke. Well, I didn't smoke at the time. What we're talking about, but drugging myself in order to keep myself motivated, while my dad was like declining, dementia and all that. And then when he passed away, and that was the beginning of my end, or the end of I don't know. So then my wife, so we said, like, we're going to have to sell the house in order to free up funds to pay. I'll be honest, that my wife had to borrow from her family to pay for my dad's funeral, and so we have to pay that back. And I didn't even have the money to do the tombstone for my dad, and it's still. I'm definitely. I know it's late, but I'm definitely going to do that. The first thing I'm going to do when I have money is do my dad's tombstone. Because he deserves it, and I don't care how much it bloody costs. I'm going to do a proper one for him. Yeah, so when we sell the house, that's the first thing I'm going to do. But for me, it's the most important thing. You know, do my dad's what's it called, tombstone. You know, because he hasn't got one yet. I'm not going to forget that. That's for me. That's really important, and for him, you know, he deserves that. Yes, and that cost a grand, 2 grand. I don't know how much it cost, but something like that. Yeah, so I don't know what questions I should answer. What should I? You know, there's another person said, you know, like, I'm making these videos just for people to feel sorry for me and to make money out of people. So I answered back, and I can't find where my answer is because it's too stressful looking at comments all the time to see if he replied. So I answered back, which one of my stories is fake or a lie? Please just answer me, and I'll consider showing you proof. So, is it a lie that I was adopted? I've got adoption papers. Is it a lie that I was stabbed? I can show you the cutting of the the newspaper. Or you can, don't believe me, you can check yourself. In 2003, 2004, the name Jero Fury, stabbing on Kilburn High Road. You can check St Mary's Hospital that I actually went in there, you know, and was treated for stabbing wounds. It was it's there. It's there. It's there. You know, it's there in the hospital, in the newspaper, so I can prove that. What else? Do you want me to prove that I haven't worked for like 30, 40 years? I can prove that because I don't have any pension. I haven't paid into. If I was on the dole for all these years, I would have the stamps or whatever. And but now I haven't. All those years, I haven't claimed the dole, and I don't have the required stamps or whatever it was called. NH, was it national? Was it national insurance contributions to get a proper pension? So I don't know what this guy wants. You know, he doesn't believe me. But first of all, like, which story does he not believe, and what proof can I give him? And another bloke said, like, you've never worked all these years, so you know your car and your petrol, I pay it through my tax. So I said no. My mum and dad paid into the system, into the pool of money, like for 40 years or whatever, and I didn't claim all those years. I should have bloody claimed, but I felt the reason why I didn't claim the dole was because I thought I've got a mother and father. Other people less fortunate than me need to go on the dole. I've got a mum and dad. They share what they have with me. I eat food. You know, I don't go clubbing. I don't do anything. I didn't have a bird at the time. You know, so I didn't need a lot of money. So for years I was unemployed, but I didn't go on the dole. Also, another reason is when you go on the dole, or unemployment benefit, they push you to go out and work. But I felt stressed. I felt stressed. I didn't want to be pushed to go out to work because I know I couldn't. I knew I couldn't. I couldn't be in those social situations. You know, I tried to explain to my doctor many times, and they just say, "Oh yeah, stick on the antidepressants." That's another problem. You know, I've asked for help for bloody decades, and the NHS is absolute garbage. I'm sorry to say, anybody who works in the NHS, the NHS is absolute garbage when it comes to mental health, when it comes to depression and social anxiety. Maybe it's changed now, but the doctors never helped me. They just said keep taking the drugs. Oh, I'm getting nervous now. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the answer to, you know, and also the future, because I've spoken about the past, the present now, the situation that I'm in now, and the future. So the future is really rosy for me. So once we sell this house and pay off the debts, you know, my wife ran up some debts like 60K, or I don't know how much it is, and she says, anyway, it's a long story. I'm not blaming my wife or anything, but also like 7K or whatever it is for my dad's funeral. So all these things I have to give to her when we sell the house. Let's say 70K. Let's say if she settles with 70K, and then I have to get a house for her in her name, say like, I don't know, 60% of what this is worth. And so obviously after that I will have to file for divorce, because I'm dumb, but I'm not that stupid. Obviously, if she has a house in her name, whatever I have left over, at some point she can say, okay, now I want a divorce. Then she'll take half of this, whatever this I have left. I'm not saying she will do that, but at this point, I don't trust anyone, you know? I don't trust anyone. Well, I don't trust her, that's for sure, because I said to her, well, why don't I buy a house for you and the kids, but leave it in my name, and or leave it in the kids' name, in the children's name? No. I said, why not? If you just want it, because she said, yeah, I just want it for the kids to be safe. Yeah, put it in the kids' name, in the children's name. No, it has to be in my name. So in my mind, I'm thinking, yeah, when the kids grow up, she finds some nice bloke, and then she can sell the house for herself. So basically, it's for herself. It's not for the kids. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, then one day you can say I want a divorce, and then I've got whatever I have, because I didn't sort it out beforehand. She can legally claim it. It's her right. What about my right? I got no bloody rights. Yeah, so that's my situation. Soon I'm going to be stuffed. I'm going to have a small amount of money, and I'm going to have to deal with 6 dogs. I won't be able to find a nice house anywhere. I'll have to find a small, like 1 bedroom house if I'm lucky, with some land, or a plot of land, and I'll have to fork money out to make sure it's secure with steel fencing, and that's very expensive. They quoted us here in this house, just for a small run, a small area, £16,000. God knows how much it will cost. I'll have to maybe try and do it myself, but you need it done professionally. Otherwise, I'll have the problem with the dogs running out, and I have problems with the police again, and I don't want to have that. So then there's the fact that there's the pension problem. I haven't. This is stressful, but I'll say it because I don't want to have to write it in the comments. Yes, I've been unemployed for all my life, like 40 years or whatever, but I didn't claim the dole and sponge off uh, people, because I had a mother and father. I was lucky I had a mother and father, and I ate with them, and I thought it was not right to claim off the dole, but also it was very difficult for me to go to interviews and stuff like that. I would go red, I would feel panicky, I couldn't breathe, and I didn't know at the time that I had this. I thought I was just crazy, you know. I didn't know that I had this problem. This was before taking antidepressants. So now I haven't paid into the pool of money whereby the government then give you a pension. So what pension am I going to get? Like 50p a week, 50 cents a week. What am I? So I have to think now. How do I earn money? This YouTube channel, some people have sent me donations, and now I have ads, but I know it's not going to last long, you know. Unless I keep telling all these funny stories, So maybe I'm going to have to write a book or some PDFs about my life, or about my health and finances or whatever. If I can get better and set goals, reach goals, and get out of this hole, then I could write maybe a PDF or ebooks, and maybe people, if they're interested, they can buy them, and that's how I can make enough money to live. I don't know. Yeah, I've gotten myself into this situation, and without a pension, you're screwed, really screwed. Because a lot of people, like those guys, say, "Oh, go to the Philippines, go to Thailand." You know, it's like heaven there. It's heaven if you've got this, if you're earning some money. And all those old guys, they've earned their money in their lives, and they've put into that pool, and they have either a private pension or a state pension. So the ladies in Thailand like this, either you work or you have a pension. You have to have some money coming in. For me, Thailand or the Philippines, yes, it's cheaper, but for me, I'm going to have to find a rich woman that wants to be with me. It's not gonna, it's not going to be that easy. I think when it comes to Jesus or God, everything is possible. It's true. So if I pray for it, not praying for a rich woman, but pray for my problems to be solved one by one. I've got bloody many of them. So that's why, you know, the guy who's sent the comment saying, "I don't believe you. You have so many stories." Well, yeah, I've got so many stories. I don't understand why for me, I don't understand why other people don't have so many problems or stories. I don't know. I think I'm quite a simple person. I would have thought that other people have got tons more stories. They meet people, they hear about this and that. My stories are just my own. Maybe I'm just expressing them, and other people don't express them. I don't know. Well, anyway, this is my video about my present money situation, my worries of the future, the not too distant future and distant future, like no or almost no pension. I don't think I qualify for that PIP. It's like if you're disabled, if you've got mental health problems, I have to look into that. But even then, you don't get a lot of money, and it should be like that. It's just to help you, tide you over, or to help you with the basics. But they would say, oh, the basics are like for food. The basics are maybe £50 a week or £20 a week. That should be enough for you. It depends what problem you have. Like I have to eat the gluten-free bread or eat no bread at all because my gut is leaky. They call it intestinal permeability. So basically, you eat the food, I don't know, like bananas, and then you've got a massive problem with histamine. You eat dairy, you've got a massive mucus problem. It's because the intestine has become permeable, which means usually when you eat food, well, the only part of the body where the outside meets the inside is the small intestine. So your mouth, you have food in your mouth, it's not actually in your body. It's in your mouth, but it doesn't go into your body, does it? The esophagus is still in your body, your stomach is still in your body. Sorry, it's still on the outside. It's not inside your body, really. It's just in that section. But once it gets to the small intestine, then the small intestine has small holes or small like tunnels for the certain proteins to be absorbed, vitamins and things to be absorbed into the body. But the problem is when the gut is damaged, these holes are big, they're huge, well, comparatively huge. So they allow proteins that are larger, and the immune system, and most of the immune system is like surrounds the small intestine, is there, and you get these autoimmune responses. But science hasn't really, well, the medical community, the doctors don't really believe in a leaky gut. If you've got histamine intolerance and it comes from eating all these foods, they don't care. you shouldn't go on a specific diet. They just give you antihistamine medication, like for the rest of your life. Now you can't stay on antihistamine medication for long because it makes the histamine problem worse. It doesn't actually solve the problem. It doesn't go to the root of the problem. So what I'm saying is, you know, even that PIP or whatever, whatever money they give you, it doesn't take into consideration the needs of the person. I need specific food. I can't eat just normal food. Like, why don't you eat like biscuits and bread like everybody else? Why do you have to have these special vegetables, this special meat? You know, because if I don't eat that, I'd rather fast than eat like pasta. I can't eat pasta. I can't eat grains, many grains. Some vegetables I can't eat. Some meat I can't eat because I've got histamine problem, gluten, dairy intolerance, small intestinal fungal overgrowth. And so all these things are not covered by PIP or these whatever, these benefits. So I have to do everything myself. I have to find a way to fix myself. And if I earn the money myself, I can afford to buy these foods. I can afford to do therapies. Yeah, so I'm just going on here, but I'm just worried about my future. When I sell the house, I'll be on my own, and I'll have the responsibility that I have for my dogs. But then maybe I'll feel better because I'll have less stress with my wife. Even though I'm not hating on my wife, but it's horrible to be in a situation where somebody doesn't love you, and they say they don't love you. And why would you want to be with that person? Well, the reason is because I've got kids and I love my kids. And in a way, I still love my wife, even though she says she doesn't love me. You get used to a person after so many years. So what can you do? What can you do? If she doesn't love me, what can I do? I tell you, this like years ago, like when I first met her, if a girl said to me, I don't love you, boom, I would have left her immediately. But because you're tied up, with a house, with children, you're trapped. Well, not for long anyway. So hopefully I've explained everything to you guys. My situation with money, and I'm not lying. These stories are true. I don't understand. I've only made a few videos. How can my stories haven't dried up yet? It would take probably all the stories I have. It would take a good year for all my stories to dry up. By that time, I would have made a few books, and you guys would have bought them, of course. They help support me and the doggies. And hopefully, I can give. The most important thing is if I can give value to other people. You're hearing this. None of this is scripted. How can I script this? And I can't do scripted stuff anyway. I tried, reading from a script, and it does my head in. I just can't do it. No, I can't be a news presenter, as one of you mentioned. Yeah, so this is the true story, or believe me, you can believe it if you want. If you don't want, you don't believe me. But I don't know how a person can just make all this stuff up. They have to be a complete. I'm not saying that I'm not a nutter, but they have to be a complete liar, a real liar, or it must be the truth, one or the other. I told you about my past, and I think the reason why I got to a situation where I was shy, and I couldn't. And then I had the trauma at school, bullied, and that really set me back. And I was doing well at school. I was doing my A levels, my art A levels, and I thought, oh great, doing the thing that I love. But then that messed me up. That bloody trauma, that gang, bloody abuse. Anyway, yeah, I can talk about that another time. Yeah, so then I didn't work for many years, and that was the reason. I didn't have to work because I was with my parents, my loving parents, and I know they protected me too much, but they did it out of love, and they meant well, and I'm always grateful. Even though people say, "Oh, they made a mistake, they coddled you," I don't care. I love my mum and dad, and they did it for a good reason. It was up to me to take that their goodness and then build on that, but I didn't. That's my fault. Maybe it's not my fault. It's just, circumstances, genetics. I don't know. It's just too confusing sometimes to think. So, yeah, that's the story of my life. I don't know what I'm supposed to say. And if you guys think I'm lying, okay, well, think I'm lying, But I want you just to think, just imagine that, that wasn't the case. Is it conceivable that I'm not lying? And imagine if you were in my position and I'm not lying. How would you feel if somebody said, "Oh yeah, talking bullshit, all those things are lies"? It's only now that somebody has sent me some donations for my dogs, and they start complaining. But I was talking about this like 5 years ago. I made a video why I have no friends. And now that I've got adverts on my channel, like obviously there's more people watching, so you're gonna have more people doubting, or troll. Well, not necessarily troll, but people who doubt. So why was I not fake 5 years ago when I was telling the same stories? But now I'm fake. I'm not. I don't think I am. I know the stories are real, unfortunately, and I've had people from the past, my relatives recently watched the videos and they're saying, "Gerald, what are you doing? Why are you talking about your family like this?" Why? And I just ignore them. I feel embarrassed, but I ignore them because I know they might even watch this video. I don't care now. What have you done for me? I don't expect you to do anything for me anyway, but I've got no friends. What am I supposed to do? I'm in this situation. I don't know how to get out of it. And lots of people have commented, have given me advice, more advice than I've ever had in my life. Anyway, sorry guys, another long video. Just to explain to you my financial situation, why I haven't worked, and my worries of the future. No pension. Health will decline slightly as you get older, so I'm going to try and stop that decline. So if you watch this channel, these videos, hopefully I'll be able to set goals and move my trajectory into something positive. So that's all I wanted to say. And thank you. You know who you are for asking that question and like helping me create the content for this video. So guys, I don't know if you'd like to comment underneath and share, like, subscribe if you haven't, and turn the notification button on. And please don't troll. It harms you more than it harms anybody else. I wouldn't do that to anyone. But anyway, do what you have to. All right, see you guys later.